Welcome to the Dynamics AX 2009 presentation of supply chain management. In today's discussion, we'll cover receiving, quarantine management, quality management, picking, and shipping management. The screen we see here is the role center for the shipping and receiving supervisor. Some of the information you'll notice is the queues. Queues are important as they push information to us. For example, return orders, open orders, expected receipts. We can also see some graphical representations of key performance indicators, such as purchase returns, delivery statistics, and even space utilization if we're running our warehouse with warehouse management. You'll also notice we have a work list. The work list pushes important information in the form of alerts and workflow. And at the bottom we have My Links. My Links are user-defined links that I go to routinely. We'll begin the discussion with receiving management. In AX 2009, there's a simple or one-step receiving process, as well as a two-step receiving process. Let's look at both of these. We'll start with the one-step. We'll open up purchase orders, and here we have a purchase order to vendor account 1202. We'll simply receive the packing list, indicate the packing slip number, and hit OK. Notice our purchase order is now in a received status. Let's use our arrival overview for our two-step receiving process. This will allow the warehouse manager to control arrivals into his warehouse, whether these arrivals be in the form of purchase orders, returns, or production orders. We can determine what type of document we'd like to receive. In this case, we're going to look for purchase. We can also filter for a particular supplier. And here we'll see we have a pending receipt for purchase order number 502. If we would like to select this purchase order for arrival, we simply select for arrival. It's also important to point out we could filter our arrivals by warehouse, by vendor reference, such as the vendor's packing slip or reference number or bill of lading. We can filter by days forward and back, by particular item number, as well as mode of delivery. For this particular pending receipt, let's quarantine it. You'll notice the line below it's for item 1103 for a quantity of 50. By clicking Start for Arrival, we will register this item in the inventory. So now we've both registered the item in inventory as well as created a quarantine order. Let's go look at our quarantine order. And here it is for our item 1103 for a quantity of 50. You may indicate a disposition code for this particular quarantine order. Disposition codes allow us to determine how this quarantine order should behave. So for example, are we going to put the items back in inventory and credit the customer? Are we going to try to repair them and add them back into inventory? Replace, scrap, or simply return the item to a vendor? Let's select disposition code 12 and report it as finished. Now we'll end it. We'll notice a quality order has been generated. It's important to point out that quarantine and quality orders may be associated. Quality orders can be auto-generated by AX 2009 during the purchasing process, sales order process, production process, and the quarantine process. We've set up a quality association that automatically creates a quality order during the quarantine process. And here we can see our quality order. A couple important things to point out about the quality order is they're attached to a test group. Now, test group is important as it allows us to create multiple tests and group them into a group. In this case, we have a test group called enclosure. It consists of two separate testing steps. Sequence number 10 is to do a measuring, and sequence number 12 is to inspect the color. Items can be associated with these different test groups. Let's perform our first quality test. We'll indicate the results for the enclosure measuring. How many quantity did we test? Is the outcome accepted, too big or too small? We'll accept it and we'll validate. We'll notice our first test has been passed. Let's look at the second test. Now let's get a little bit more detail behind this test. How can we set these tests up? The user may define a test instrument to each test, the action on failure, the acceptable quality level, as well as the variable, in this case it's color, and what are the expected outcomes of color. User definable. They can be shaded, speckled, etc. Let's look at the results for sequence 2. If it was speckled, our test result would be in a failed mode. Once we've completed our quality order, we validate the entire order. We can accept the error on the order or not. We'll click OK. Now we'll notice that our status on this quality order is fail. So just to review a moment, from our arrival form, we decided to quarantine this particular item. Once within quarantine, we had an association set up that automatically created a quality order for us. Again, these quality orders can be auto-generated by the system. Let's discuss the picking process. Dynamics AX 2009 has 3 methods of picking: consolidated, by order, or by transaction. To pick by transaction, we'll go to our picking list. And here we can see all the sales orders and transfer orders that we anticipate picking. We'll notice it shows us the customer number, reference, picking route, the status of this particular order. We'll notice this picking list form shows us all, only sales orders, or just transfer orders. Let's sort out to just our sales orders. We can sort on any of these fields, so let's sort by our delivery date to see the things due the most recently. And then further, I'd like to sort by handling status and only see the activated ones. We can see a picking route's been assigned, the start time and date, anticipated end time, and the delivery date when this order's due. To process this order, we'll go to our picking list registration. The picking list registration form is also a form for consolidated picking as well. Additionally, we can pick by route. Here we can see the order that we've decided to pick. We also have some functions. We can start our picking route, cancel the picking route. Additionally, we could print our picking list from here. We'll select the 2 lines for picking and start our picking route. Once the items are picked, let's look at some of our shipment information. Here we can see a list of all of our shipments, or we may choose to filter by those only in progress or those already sent. We can go look at the lines of each shipment. We can print a shipment list, labels, bill of lading. Now let's look at our carrier interface. Dynamics AX 2009 comes with ClipperShip, FedEx, and UPS integration. This shipping carrier integration provides the appropriate information to each of these shipping carriers. It automatically moves information that's received from these carriers, such as freight charges and tracking numbers, into Microsoft Dynamics AX sales orders and invoices, which eliminates manual entry. You can calculate freight charges, request and manage tracking numbers, facilitate will call requests, and print labels. Well, this concludes our presentation of the Dynamics AX 2009 Receiving, Quarantine, Quality, Picking, and Shipping modules. I hope this information has been helpful. Thank you.